Hello and welcome to another Planet Destiny exotic weapon review. Today we'll be taking a look at the pulse rifle, Bad Juju. At the start of the game, this is one of the most laughably bad guns out there. Since then though, it's received a number of direct buffs and some changes that came from global balances. The first perk is Full Auto, which allows the gun to be fired in Full Auto mode. Full Auto on any gun is usually a good thing. This weapon is no exception since it allows the later String of Curses perk to really do work. It also makes the weapon seem like it fires a little bit faster since you're not having to press the trigger down every time you fire. For muzzles, we have Smooth Ballistics, increased recoil, boost to range. Soft Ballistics, less recoil, penalty to impact. And finally, Smart Drift Control, predictable and controllable recoil, penalty to range. Until the most recent pulse rifle changes, I would have told you to go with Smart Drift Control, but now that range actually matters on guns and pulse rifles have a nasty damage drop off if they have a low range stat, I really recommend that you get used to the recoil of Smooth Ballistics. It's very similar to Smart Drift Control, and the range boost that you get from it will make the weapon more optimal in the ranges that pulse rifles are meant to shine. That being said, if you end up not liking it after trying it out for a while, Smart Drift Control will still work. You'll just have to play a little bit closer to your targets to get the most damage out of the gun. The next perk is Hipfire. You can see the wall shots here and they don't look very accurate. This is one of those perks that will really only become apparent when you're shooting actual enemies. It allows you to quickly get off a burst on low health target in PvP instead of having to aim down sights. In PvE it makes it so you can relax a little bit more and just hipfire your way through some of the encounters. While it isn't optimal to do this, it does allow you to use the weapon in close quarters in a pinch. A good secondary will always do better in close quarters encounters, but if you don't have time to switch to it, then it gives you a little bit of an edge. For the stat mod perks, we have Armor Piercing Rounds, Send It, harder to handle, decreases carried ammo capacity, and finally, Perfect Balance. There's only one option here, Perfect Balance. Without it, this gun has pretty gnarly recoil that will cause you to miss a bunch of shots in your burst. Perfect Balance just brings that recoil down enough that you can land all of your shots on a target at the optimal distance before damage fall off, assuming you pair it with Smooth Ballistics, that is. If you go with the Smart Drift Control route, then you'll have an easier time to control the recoil just at the cost of some range. I've heard some people using Send It, but I don't think that's a good choice here. Having a massive range stat means nothing on a pulse rifle, since most of your shots and your bursts will miss your target. You have to find a balance between recoil and range so you can land 2/3 of your shots on someone's head and then one shot on the body with each burst. The final perk is String of Curses. After each kill, this weapon will reload instantly and increase damage for a short time. Kills will help charge your super. First off, the reload does not take ammo from your reserve, it just pulls it from the ether. So essentially, it's a free magazine refill. As long as you're killing things, you will effectively never run out of ammo. The damage boost is 15% increase on damage that lasts for 3 seconds, and it refreshes on every single kill, unlike the Crowd Control perk, which does not refresh. Finally, it increases your super energy by about 3% per kill. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if you are killing a lot of things, it adds up quickly in addition to your normal super energy gained. So you have all of those effects going off in that perk. Needless to say, this perk makes the weapon capable of some pretty incredible feats. Let's get into the PvE section. Bad Juju still stands as one of Destiny's most versatile weapons in PvE in my opinion. If you're looking for a gun to help make your super more potent, pairing this with an armor piece that generates more orbs will mean you are going to be a huge team player in any raid or strike. For solo play, it means you're never going to run out of ammo and again will always have your super available to demolish some enemies. The only real downside to Bad Juju is that while it can make group play awesome, the same group play can be a real detriment to the weapon. All those perks I just listed earlier about the String of Curses perk will not proc if you do not get the last hit on a mob. There's nothing worse than getting a mob low and then a teammate comes in and nabs the last hit. You might have been really counting on landing that shot so you wouldn't have to reload your magazine. The reload speed is a little bit slow, so that can add to the frustration. My one other gripe is that the gun's damage is kind of low for PvE. For killing unshielded tier 1 mobs, it performs flawlessly, but once you add in a shield or move up to some majors, then you're going to start having some troubles. Heroic strikes were frustrating because I was constantly having to swap to my sniper, remove the shield, and work some enemies' health down some, and then unload into them. Once String of Curses procs, so then you're able to get the ball rolling, but once it falls off, you're back to square one. Bad Juju cements itself as one of those weapons that's unbelievably good when it works, and just overall average when you can't land that last hit. The other thing that works against Bad Juju in Year 2 is the inclusion of Zalo Supercell. Essentially, both weapons are the same thing. Full auto weapons that have an infinite ammo mechanic, a damage boost mechanic, crowd control from Juju, and AoE damage from Zalo, and finally both grant super energy on kills. Bad Juju grants it on single kills, and Zalo grants it on a double kill. Zalo has the added benefit of having arc damage on it as well. I did a quick comparison of Juju versus Zalo on how they increase super energy. Long story short here is that Bad Juju is overall better in my opinion since it doesn't rely on double kills. If you're finding a lot of enemies more spaced out, then Juju will win. However, if there's a ton of enemies in close proximity, then Zalo will win. Also, the simple fact that arc damage on Zalo is another factor in being chosen more than Bad Juju in Year 2. Moving over to PvP, Bad Juju is in the same boat as PvE. When the stars align properly, it's one of the top weapons out there. Full auto on a pulse rifle with very manageable recoil is still a strong weapon to have in your primary slot. It takes 3 bursts to kill with or without String of Curses active. The only thing that changes is the number of headshots required for the burst to be lethal. The real strength of the gun in PvP is the combination of full auto and the magazine refund from String of Curses. Landing a quick kill will allow you to challenge another person or two without having to worry about ammo. I found that one of the best ways to get String of Curses going is to get a body shot off with a sniper, swap to Juju, and then land a quick burst on him. Now you'll have a damage bump and can take someone down a little bit quicker. At the very least, you'll still get a small increase in your super for landing a kill with Juju. So a short summary of the gun in PvP is that it's still a decent weapon. It isn't a top tier weapon like Mida or Doctrine of Passing, but it can still be competitive for most normal playlists. If you find yourself going against a last word, you best try and outrange them. You simply cannot challenge a tier 1 PvP weapon with this and come out if your opponent is of the same skill level as you. For cosmetics, this is one of the few weapons that has actually had changes. Well, it's a new paint scheme at least. It's purple. Very purple now. I've always been a fan of the tribal art styling with wraps of leather and a crow's head on the front of the gun. It fits with the name. In conclusion, Bad Juju is still a fantastic weapon. Provided you land killing blows, it will never let you or your team down. If your team keeps taking your kills, then try and communicate with them that they're kind of negating the entire reason you use Bad Juju. In PvP, it can still lead to great moments, and outside of those, it's still a solid pulse rifle. I hope you guys found this video helpful. This has been Patrick Casey with Planet Destiny, your guide to the Destiny universe.